Yo, what is up, everybody? Man, it's your boy JTM.
And I'm the monster.
And this is the debut of our new show, Live at 5.
Throwdown.
Today, we have a special guest for you. None other than Bills legend linebacker Cornelius the Biscuit Bennett.
9-7's going to be in the building answering questions. Woo!
Man, I hope y'all excited because I am definitely excited, man. Like I said, Biscuit was definitely one of my favorite players growing up. Any stories on Biscuit Monster, man?
Man, it just, every time I watch Biscuit, I refer to it as get wrecked time. 9-7 was coming, or even 55 was coming through that line in the backfield, you was getting wrecked. It was get wrecked time for me every time I watched him. I loved it.
All right, man. Like I said, man, me and Monster been talking. We decided to team up and do a show, man, because we feel like, man, we bring some great content. And who better to bring you content than two Titans?
Alpha males.
Like I said, we're going to keep this thing going all season, man. Like I said, this is just the beginning. But like I said, we got an interview with Bills legend Cornelius Bennett. This is huge. Like I said, we think Cornelius would definitely take your time out of his day, and we cannot wait for him to call in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to talking to him. This is the premiere episode, and we got Cornelius Bennett for you. It's only going to go up from there, folks. It's only going to go up from there. Bigger and better things for the Live at 5 Throwdown featuring JTM and Monster.
That's it, man. That's it. Other than that, man, Monster, what's going on, man? You know, we out of OTAs now. We heading to camp.
Man, put the pads on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not enthused on anything. Like, you know what I mean? The Peterman stuff. Nate Peterman looks good. Easy. We're not there yet. They didn't even put their pads on yet. Give it some time. Let it play out a little bit. But I'm definitely excited. I will be live at training camp broadcasting at some point. I'll make sure the details get out for that so we can get that to you guys. More content coming from JTM and the Monster. Just stay tuned, y'all.
That's it, man. I mean, this is huge, man. This is a huge offseason for Buffalo. This was such a huge offseason. There's a lot of competition. There's competition at the quarterback position. There's competition at the receiver position. And I mean, not just competition for starters, competition for position spots.
For jobs.
And we haven't seen this type of competition for years.
Good. Competition's going to drive it. Competition's going to drive it to be better on each position on our squad. It's going to be great to see how everything turns out. I'm excited to see about the receivers in the defense, man. Like I said, I want it to go right now. It's just the off season, man. Just shorten it up a little bit. Just shorten it up a little bit and just, you know what I mean? Eliminate the preseason. I don't care about the preseason. Eliminate the preseason. Give them 2 more weeks of training camp. That avoids all the injuries that ruin team seasons before the games even count. You know what I mean? I can't stand that. I watch 4 preseason games holding my breath because I don't want somebody to get injured in a game that's meaningless.
Right. I mean, you can't help but think, like, when you see the headlines or breaking news every day during this time period,
yeah, man.
What's that ticker going to say? What team lost somebody? Because luckily, I think last year we escaped pretty much clean.
Yeah, we had nicks and bruises, but we didn't have anybody huge come off. You know what I mean? We skated through pretty health-wise, and hopefully the gods will bless us with the same kind of health and good luck this year going into it. So here's the hoping, my dude.
That's it. So speaking about the Biscuit, right, since he's coming on, our linebacking core. We have a monster in the middle in Tremaine Edmonds.
He's running the show. They're going to hand the keys of our defense to the Rook, and I like it. They have confidence in him, and from what his teammates are saying, he's another alpha male. The kid's going to take the keys of the defense at his young age, and he's going to prosper. And he's going to learn from having to call those plays because he has to know where every single dude on that defense is going to be in order to call that. So the reads, the changes, the audibles that they're going to have to go through, it's all going to have to go through him. And for a young kid on our defense with the veterans we got to command that respect in order to run the defense, that says a lot about the kid's character to me.
Right. So now the biggest thing about that is Preston Brown was young and he struggled with that. They actually turned, who was it that the linebacker, was it Emmanuel Lawson that turned the calls over to for the rest of the season at his age, or he struggled? I don't think we're going to see that with Tremaine for the simple fact that Tremaine's father played NFL, Will Ferrell, or his name is Will? I think it's Will Edmonds. He has an older brother that's with the Saints, and we also know his twin is with the Steelers. So he's coming from a football family.
Yeah, it's pedigree. It's pedigree. He's got it in his DNA. Absolutely. To be the type of dude he is at his age and the physique he has and the just physical gifts that kid has, and the ability to cover and go side, man, he's just, whew, I can't wait to see him kick off, man. I think the kid's just going to be a killer. He's just going to be a killer, and it's just going to do nothing but improve our defense and just, it's going to free stuff up. You know what I mean? Towards, last year when we got rid of Marcel Darius, our penetration, and we just got ran all over because we couldn't get penetration because nobody on our line was worthy of a double team. So now you put Star in there. You know what I mean? You still got
Right.
you still got 9-5 in there. You know what I mean? You rotate them out. Star's going to draw that double team that allows those linebackers to sneak in. The pressure we weren't getting towards the end of last season once Marcel was gone, that pressure is going to be there, and it can come from all sides, especially from our secondary.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. Like I said, Starter Tully was a big signing. I mean, it was kind of tipped off a minute ago. Hey, hold on, Monster. I think Biscuit is on the line. Cornelius.
Yes.
What is up, Biscuit, man? You're on live with JTM and the Monster, man. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on.
Man, I gotta say, man, I saw your picture on Twitter for Father's Day. You look like you're still in great shape. You still follow a regimen of some kind from when you played?
No, I really don't, man. It's just genetics. Be honest with you, I'm down in the hot Florida sun and playing a little golf, and really that's about it, man. I'm kind of allergic to going in the gym and stuff like that. So I've never been a big eater or anything like that. So it's really it's just genetics, man. I'm very blessed.
Man, I share the same kind of thing with the gym. It's just it's like kryptonite to me. I try to stay away from it as much as possible, and it works out. I've accepted the dad body in my age.
Well, I tell you, it's like I said, it is genetics. But I kind of watch what I eat. I'm not one of those people that will sit down and just gorge himself on food or whatever. I just eat to I'm satisfied kind of thing. I don't want to overeat. I eat a lot of protein. I'm a protein guy. I like my snack is potato chips. So when I eat potato chips, I just make sure the next day I don't eat any other carbs or anything like that. So and it's worked out so far so good. Almost 19 years out of the game going. So I'm pretty cool with that.
You still look like you could give it a go, man. Good job.
No, that's always good to look like that. But actually getting out there and doing it is a whole nother story. I don't have that mindset any longer. That's for my son to do right now.
That's right.
Hey, speaking of your son, man, I saw you in some nice yellow clothes, man.
Well, that was orange, Tennessee orange. Yeah. My son, our son, plays football at the University of Tennessee, and very proud dad. That's the only way you can get me in those colors. It had to be some blood there playing, and I wear it proudly for him.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You get a little bit of, you put it on your back, you still feel like I love my boy, but this still doesn't feel right to me.
No, I mean, as a parent, man, you sacrifice so much for your children, man, and that's what it is, the sacrifice. Just like the sacrifice that I've made for them over the years, and I don't have a problem with it. I've only stated, I told the old head coach Bush Jones, I said that was one thing after our son decided to commit to Tennessee, that was one thing that I wouldn't do, and that was to sing the Rocket Top song, and so far I've yet to give in to that. But if they were to some kind of way win a national championship, who knows what I would do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Biscuit, with your son going to Tennessee, and I think it has listed as a defensive tackle.
Well, defensive end, he was a tackle in the old defensive. Switched up defenses now, so he's playing defensive end, yeah.
What kind of things did you teach him from what you knew from your game as he grew and got older?
I wasn't really a hands-on kind of, coach or anything. That's something I really said I would never do because I never wanted to put any unwanted pressure on him to perform. I made him, I helped make him, so he's got the DNA. And whether or not, he could pull out what's inside of him. That's a mental part of the game, and I've always tried to prepare him mentally, I guess, more than anything. The techniques and stuff, I've left it up to the coaches, and so far they've done a tremendous job training him. And then when I do see certain things, I give him little signals or whatever from the stands. He always has a way of finding me in the stands, and I'll tell him if I see something, make a little hand gesture or something to try to help him improve, what he's doing on the field. But he's a pretty good student of the game, and his technique is pretty well. And he's still growing. He's going into his sophomore year, so he has room to grow. And I feel like he's gonna be a vital part for the team coming up this next season. I'm really looking forward to his sophomore campaigns.
Absolutely, and we will follow his career here with us because, man, if he's anything like his father, he's going to be a treat to watch.
Well, I hope he's better. You want him to do better and be better, and that's what I hope. Again, he has the tools. Just whether or not his desire is there, produce, and only time will tell, man. He had a good spring game. I was very pleased with his spring game. Started out kind of rough during the warm-ups. His head coach said, I guess it was more anything because I pay attention. It was kind of in his face, firing him up, I would assume, more than anything. Didn't like the way he was warming up. But once the kickoff happened or whatever and the game started, he showed some bright spots. He finished up the spring game, I thought, probably one of the better defensive performances of the spring.
Right. Now, you also have a daughter that's playing in Dad's colors at Alabama.
No, she no longer plays volleyball. She's back home with us. She decided she had enough of volleyball. So she's just here working and trying to finish up school, man. She just, I guess, travel volleyball. I'm telling you, that's, man, I as a dad, an athlete and as a dad, that was brutal. You have school volleyball, then you have travel volleyball, which is more brutal than the high school volleyball. And I have talked to parents over the years, watching her travel around or whatever, and they was like, hopefully she doesn't burn out, because she's so talented. And that was the only thing that can happen, outside of a serious injury, which would happen a lot in girls and volleyball and sports in general, especially ACLs or whatever. For some reason, girls have a lot of ACL injuries, so we was very fortunate with that she didn't suffer a significant injury playing travel volleyball, but the burnout part happened, and it's too sad because I thought she was really special playing volleyball. She was a right side left-handed hitter, which is very unique in itself, and she was such a tremendous athlete on the volleyball court that I thought the possibilities for her to play until she was tired of playing volleyball was endless, and it happened too soon that she grew tired of it.
Well, maybe the path will lead her back someday. You never know.
Yeah, well, she's still young and still has some eligibility left, and I'm hoping that the fire, reignite in or something, before it gets too late, and she'll, give it another go because I don't really think she really, quit playing on her own terms, which happens in professional, which happens in sports in general, not just professional sports, but in sports in general. Everybody wants to try to leave on their own terms, and hopefully she can come to grips with whatever made her tired of playing and figure it out and maybe give it one more chance and, do it, finish up the way she really wants to finish up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you were recruited by the legend Bear Bryant. You were a first-team, 3-time All-American. Not second-team, first-team, 3-time All-American. Were you kind of disappointed when you got there that you didn't get the mentorship or the chance to play underneath Bear because he had left by the time you got there?
It never really bothered me. I was just so elated that I was being recruited by Coach Bryant. Not many kids can say that. And not many kids can say that, Coach Bryant came to their house and sat and met, and talked and fell asleep at their house with their parents sitting there kind of thing, whatever. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate in that aspect. But, he was very frail when he was recruiting his last year, which was my class. And there had been rumors going around that he quite possibly, maybe the next season, which would have been my freshman year, would have been his last year coaching anyway. So I kind of understood that. But, growing up in Birmingham, it was either you're an Auburn fan or Alabama fan, and I just happened to grow up being an Alabama fan. And so it really didn't matter in a sense, but I would have loved to play for him. But I have my Coach Bryant stories just like any other guy that played for him. I was recruited by him and had a chance to meet him and sit in his office and share some of the same stories some of his former players share.
That's awesome. I'm sure as he looks back on his last recruiting class, he can put a star that he was the one that recruited Cornelius Bennett.
Well, I say that myself, and that's why I always bring it up, that I was recruited by Coach Bryant, so it's true. And nobody knew the outcome of, my playing at the university, because I went there and had no idea that I was going to be a linebacker, first of all. It was kind of talked about, but it was mostly, either tight end or running back.
You thought you were a tight end, huh?
Yeah, I was pretty good offensive player. I had pretty good running back. I made All-American my senior year in high school at running back, and I wasn't bad. I just thought I was better suited as far as my size was concerned. That wasn't any 6'3" running backs outside of Eric Dickerson, which I don't think he's truly 6'3", but I was 6'3" and right about 220 coming out of high school, and I just didn't really see myself playing running back in college football, let alone if I had made it to NFL, thinking, trying to think forward back then. And I thought tight end was a position that, because that was my original tight end when I went in high school, and I played, and I thought I was pretty good at running routes and catching the ball, and especially with the speed. I mean, I look back on playing high school ball and look at the tight ends the size of these guys today. I think I would have been that prototype kind of tight end back in the day.
Oh, absolutely.
What's interesting about that is when you came out, you were that new style linebacker, the athletic guy who could honestly play both sides of the ball. But now you look around at the field now, do you see what you were then all across the field now on defense? And maybe you set a trend?
Not really. You don't see the Lawrence Taylors and the Derek Thomases and the Junior Seau's and, people like myself. And to me, that could play multiple positions and rush the passer, be good against the run, be good against the pass. Guys are kind of one-dimensional, and I think that's just the way they're training. Not to say that that's not that kind of those kind of athletes that are out there. I just think it's the way that they're training. They're just training them one-dimensional. Even playing multiple sports growing up, I don't think I think our ability to be so versatile came from us playing multiple sports growing up. And coaches now, because football is just such a big business, that they try to deter kids from playing multiple sports. And we fought against it, and I just would, we would never give in to it. I was like, if he wants to roll or whatever he decides to do, and give him the chance to do it as long as his grades are good. And so, my son, played basketball, played baseball for a year, didn't really like it, but, the opportunity was there for him to play. And I had always said the day that a coach tells my son that he should only play football, that'll be the last day that he plays for that coach.
Good man.
So, that's one thing, but I just think you just pigeonhole kids when you just make them one-dimensional. Football it's still a game of fun, and that's time. When you get to college or you get to the pros, that you stick to one position. But high school, man, I in my career in high school, I was quarterback, I punted, I kicked, I was running back, I was wide out, I was a tight end, defensive end, linebacker, cornerback, wherever they needed me to play, and that's what I did. And I enjoyed it. I never once complained about it, even when I got to college and they said, hey, we're going to make you a linebacker. And it's like, okay, because I thought they knew better at that time, like again, going into college, that's them, evaluating me and deciding linebacker was probably going to be the best position for me. And then, if that didn't work out, then we would try running back or tight end. And that's how it was. And I just think that's how it should be with kids, because, I think most of us coming out of high school are just great, athletes. How, you see how they list kids as athletes. I thought that would have suited me, defining me greatly. They just said, Cornelius Bennett, athlete, instead of running back, tight end, linebacker, whatever, because I didn't know which position. Coach Perkins and I, who was my head coach at Alabama, we met before we started fall practice my freshman year, and And it could have been a little white lie that he was telling me, but it was confidence because what he told me was we would try linebacker for a few days and see how that goes, and then run it back or tight end. If the linebacker thing wasn't, you wasn't confident, if I wasn't comfortable enough being at linebacker, we would try it. But after the first practice or whatever, I was, I felt, oh man, this is it. I get a chance to be versatile on defense and not just, be a run stopper or whatever. They gave me a chance to rush the passer, drop in the coverage, play against the run, and after the first practice, I can remember him asking me as we were walking off the field, what did I think? And I gave him a hand wave, like, just, okay, we're good. Leave me at linebacker, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
Yeah,
it worked out pretty good.
I think my career was elongated by just playing linebacker. To be honest with you, I don't think if I'd have played on the offensive side of the ball, I don't think I would have had such a long career in the NFL.
That's real talk right there. That's real talk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you got to Buffalo, how much did your first defensive coordinator, Walt Corey, and Darryl Talley help you get adjusted? Because you had a little bit of catch-up time when you first got here to Buffalo. How instrumental were they to helping you get to where you got? And then once you got to that point, it was over with. You just excelled and you had it.
Well, Walt was, it was what I needed, especially at the particular time, coming in the middle of the season. The defense wasn't a lot of terminology, very basic, but it was a good defense. And he was the perfect coach for me who didn't do a lot of chalkboard talking, it was very simple, gave me a chance to be successful right away. But then I had a chance to be with Darryl, who was just like a coach himself, and Darryl was like, put the playbook aside, I'll teach you everything you need to know on the fly. And that's how I learned how to play football in the NFL, was really through Darryl coaching me on the field, which was a tremendous asset. And you can ask any young player, when you get a vet that's willing to be a mentor and not afraid that you're going to steal the spotlight from them, man, that's the best thing in the world happen to you. And so I always compliment Darryl on being, to me, I've always said, I don't know why in the world Darryl didn't coach. But then when I look at it, when I really take a deep look at it, I know why he never got a chance to coach, because I think Darryl knew more than most coaches. And I think coaches, defensive coordinators would have been, I wouldn't say ashamed, but, kind of put it back by him being a coach, knowing more than they would, and just wouldn't want to have him on his coaching staff. And that happens a lot with former players. That's why you don't see the number of former players that should be coaching coach, because a lot of the coordinators, a lot of the coaches never played at the level that we played at, and and afraid that guys would know more than they would. I've seen it happen in meetings, man. I've seen coaches get embarrassed by former players.
Oh, that's real right there.
Speaking of that, it's funny that you said that, because like we said, we saw another great that played in your time, Mike Singletary, who it took him a long time to get a job that he deserved. A long time.
And I would guarantee that had to be part of the reason, the intimidation factor, and the fact that he that he knew more football than the coaches that were trying to coach him, or that he probably would have been, had a chance to work for.
Right. Now, speaking of the durability, like I said, out of your whole career, you only not started 2 games out of your entire career.
Yeah, that was my first game, and then I think I was injured. I think I was injured one game. In my first game, and I think I was injured one game. Maybe it just was the circumstances of the offense or something. I don't know what the second game was, but that's my thinking. I never kept up with that stuff, man. I just enjoyed putting on the blues or the blacks or the blue and white when I was playing with the coach on Sunday. I never kept up with that stuff, man. I wanted to be there for my teammates and play on Sundays, and that's all I cared about.
Man, you showed up.
Well, that's part. I showed up, and I like to, yes, as the young people say, I showed up and showed out, kind of thing. Showing up is just half of it. Being there and performing is the other part of it. And I always felt like I was always prepared to perform at the highest level on Sundays.
All right. Speaking of showing up, question to ask you: back in the heyday of the Phil Super Bowl era, who had the better barber, you or Leonard Smith? Because you both had clean lines. Who was better?
Well, Leonard, our styles were different, but we went to the same barbershop. Most of the brothers, we would race out on Friday evenings, heading into the city, going to the barbershop. You know, line up. You would go in the barbershop. It was just like it would be a team meeting. But I would, Leonard went with the designs as far as the bills and all that stuff. I would just do, simple stuff. Kind of like what you're seeing today as far as designs are concerned, but I always just kept it neat and tight around the sides and with a little bit on the top, something that I wish I could still do to this day, but Mother Nature, she decided otherwise. So.
Me and you both. I'm following these challenges as well.
Yeah, but it is what it is, man. And
hey, I've embraced it, and I save a lot on hair. So my budget's okay because my hair is gone.
Right, yeah. I haven't been to a barbershop since about 1996 or 7, somewhere around that, man. So I was spending about, I was spending probably back in the day about $20 a week to, for a cut. So now today that'd probably be, double that. I don't know what they charge in the barbershop because I haven't been there so long.
They're crazy. Speaking of mentoring, and Daryl Talley helped you. We just did a interview with your former teammate Jeff Burris not too long ago, and he mentioned you as a mentor for him. Mm-hmm. And how you really helped him along.
Yeah, well, I was so fortunate with, having Daryl and Bruce and the other guys there for me. And that was natural for me to be a leader. That was something when I was at the university. I was thrust into a leadership role as a true freshman, as a 18-year-old freshman at the University of Alabama, leading older guys. That was something I was very comfortable doing, and I always thought, when I saw a need to say something to younger guys, and I did it throughout my career. And Jeff was just one of those. Until this day, he's still one of the best people in the world. And I was fortunate enough to have a chance to play with him twice. Buffalo and finish up my career with him in Indianapolis. And what a special person. And again, one of those great smart kids. No football through and through, and now he's been an NFL coach, and he's been in college, high school, whatever. And again, given opportunity, I think he would make a tremendous head coach because his personality, character, all that stuff, what you look for, he's the epitome of it. And again, they make former players just jump through the hoops of trying to be the coach, that they can be, or should be, or want to be. Just given an opportunity. For some reason, I don't know how and why athletic directors or executives on the NFL level can't understand that, players. I mean, we know every side of the game, on the field, off the field, and those special people that are able to do it should be given an opportunity. But for some reason, they like to keep it separate, and it's just it's a hard business, and that's why I never even thought about going into the business. It was just something I just decided that I just didn't want to have a part of because of the politics that's involved in it.
Right, and it's a testament to who you are as a man and your character that you took knowledge that was bestowed upon you by greats and you passed it forward, man. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, I mean, all the young linebackers that was in the room, all those guys, man. Marlo, Perry, David White, all those guys, man. I think, I left a mark on them just like Daryl left a mark on me, and I'm assuming, throughout their careers, try to give them the same information to pass the knowledge on to others, and that's how football is. It's a brotherhood. It's a true brotherhood, and that's the one thing you asked me about my son earlier. That's the one thing that I've always tried to instill in him is team, teammate, being a teammate. That's a big challenge for a lot of kids because a lot of kids come from these situations where, relying on another person, it's hard, especially inner city kids. They have to rely on themselves to get out of the hood or whatever, and building up that chemistry in the locker room, trusting another man is hard. And so trying to instill that in him, dude, you want more success on the field, you guys become teammates, make this a real team, not just, you playing for the University of Tennessee. Y'all become teammates. And one of the things that I hear him say so much of now is the camaraderie part of it, that teammate part. Get to know your teammate, not just the guys that sit next to you on your left and right in the locker room. Get to know everybody in the teammate, in the locker room a little bit about each person. You go back to the movie that Denzel Washington from the school in Maryland, that movie when he did the team building. That's really how football is, and a good coach will do that. You will have team building exercise. And I think, when you're a struggling team and you can trust each other and those close, tight games, and you look across the line and you see your teammates, or you look across the huddle and you see your teammates' eyes, and it's all for one for all, you win those close games. And that's what I think happened with Buffalo last year. Building, coach come in, and not saying these other coaches run those kind of coaches, because I don't know. I haven't been around up there forever, but meeting with coach last year, sitting and talking to him, picking brains of some of the greats that's played the game in Buffalo, and hearing his ideas or whatever, I guarantee you a lot of it is team building, being able to trust your teammates, and that's what it's all about, and that's why Buffalo is back in the playoffs, along with having talented players, because you don't play at that level if you're not talented. I don't care if the stats don't say so, but you don't make it on a 53-man roster and not be talented.
From the man's mouth himself.
Speaking of the team building thing, I think another problem with the team building thing nowadays is the money. It's so much money out there now, and the holdouts and different things that's happened that didn't necessarily happen back in the day that way. It's that if someone's always ripping, there's always somebody looking for more, and someone always feeling left out. So maybe that's the problem with the team building nowadays, that it's always something else going on and you losing focus.
I wouldn't say that, because money is always big when you think about what general public is making. So that you can say that's forever, that the money is going to be there. I think it's just, again, trusting another man. It's hard. It's trusting anybody is hard, but get in that locker room, and then it's how you're made as well. And if you're not put in a good situation to be able to handle those kind of situations, I don't care if you're making $6 or $6 million. It's the person. And if you don't have anybody coaching you along, that's the one thing about athletes. We're very coachable kids, and the ones that are not kind of fall by the wayside. They kind of weed themselves out. But you could say the publicity part of it probably plays a part in it. And what I mean by that is, most of these guys coming in the league now, they have their own publicists, and then I think that everybody wants the off the field accolades, the big money off the field, the being in the public eye kind of thing. We didn't have to worry so much about that then. There was no social media. We wasn't being you hardly recognize a lot of guys without their helmets being, when their helmets fall kind of thing. Now, the league and the Players Association have done a tremendous job of letting people see the faces of the guys that are playing on Sundays, and that's been tremendous for a lot of guys. But some guys can handle it, some can't. As far as the notoriety part of it, and so sometimes if you're not put in your place as far as being a teammate and not an individual on a team sport, it can get in the way. And I think, again, it goes back to having a great coach who believes in team building and who won't let those outside influences influence the bigger picture for the whole team. And I think that's the biggest problem, not the money. It's just the outside influences away from the game. Guys starting to feel like, they are the man, they're the man, and the team ain't gonna be team won't be any good without them. If they don't play well, the team not gonna play well. That's not how it is. It's all about when your brother's struggling, you pick up the slack kind of thing, and I don't think guys believe in that. And I know for a fact from talking, and I won't call names, from past Buffalo teams over the recent years or whatever. There's a couple of guys in the locker room that it was about me, and that's every team in the league. I guarantee you, it's always one or two guys. But I'm talking Buffalo because we're talking about Buffalo or whatever, and that becomes a festering sore. It just you start losing, then that person becomes, he just becomes more and more of a problem, and then it rubs off. And then you got 2 guys, then you got 3 guys, then now guys are just ready to pack up and can't wait till the season to be over, kind of thing, or whatever. So you have to nip that in the bud right away, and otherwise, if you can't, then you get rid of them. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Trade them, cut them, whatever. If they don't want to conform to the team concept, then you rid yourself of them. Coach Levy. I can remember him saying in a speech one time about, the character guys, and that, give me some high quality character guys, and, over guys with a ton of accolades, football accolades in a day of the week. He said he once cut a Heisman Trophy winner, and that was due to, his behavior or whatever, or not want to conform to the team concept. And I think that's a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's all about them building their own brands nowadays. And
yeah. That's a big part of that, and that's all sports. But some guys can do it. Some guys can do it, and it doesn't bother the team part of it. You see what I'm saying? Some guys can handle it, and some guys can't.
So let me ask you this, Biscuit. All right, who was the one man that you played against? One man that you played against that to this day you hold the utmost respect for as a competitor to play against? And who was the one man that you played against that got you into the red? Like, I need 9 sacks today against this dude. I'm just going to go get it. Who are those 2 guys for you?
I guarantee you anybody from our era that played against, and 10 out of 10 guys you interview that played against Barry Sanders would say Barry Sanders is the guy that, you made sure that you had your shoes tied up tight and had enough Gatorade and, prepared yourself more during the week for kind of thing, whatever. But quarterbacks, I hated all of them, from a football perspective, not as people, but as, and that's how I looked at all offensive guys, man. Son, it's that gladiator part of you. And your friends afterwards, you would meet up with guys in the tunnels afterwards and shake hands, and because most guys from college ball anyway.
Right.
You see them in off season, whatever, and it was just everybody knew once the first whistle blew to the last, it was competition, and so
get wrecked time.
It was that mentality, man, and after the game was over, you meet up in the middle of the field and dap it up and see each other afterwards, kind of thing. But I hated all of them, man.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this: it's game day, 5 minutes before kickoff, 97 sitting at his locker. You got headphones on. What music's getting you to that level? What are you listening to? Or did you have one radio in the locker room that nobody was allowed to touch, and that's what you listened to?
No. When I first started playing, I wasn't into it, but I guess the older I got, have sitting around for so long, because when you first get, you're anxious, you're ready to go. So, but now I think towards the later part of my career, I started listening to. I'm a big blues guy. So, love blues. So it would probably have been some blues, and I'm trying to probably in my last year. CD I had in the CD player, because it was still CDs back when I finished up. Probably was either Muddy Waters or somebody like that. Albert King, B.B. King, Muddy Waters, or somebody like that, man. That I was really digging on. Till this day, that's Albert King. I listen to Albert King almost on a daily basis when I'm doing something around the house. But I love blues. My daddy was a blues guy, and I grew up, listening to a lot of old blues, and that's what I like, and that's what I was listening to when I was finishing up.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding, man. Hey, speaking of Marv Levy, now, do you see some similarities? Because you said the word character, high character, and when the day Sean McDermott walked into the door in Buffalo, his thing was about character. Do you see some similarities there between the two?
No doubt about it. I don't sit in meetings with them or watch a lot of him on the sidelines or whatever, but he seems to have the same kind of demeanor as Coach Levy, very calm, uses his smarts to get his point across, instead of the yelling, screaming, cursing kind of coach or whatever, which to me is the best kind of coach. I responded better to that kind of coach. I'm so grateful that I never had a coach who was in my ear yelling and screaming or whatever. But he definitely has some of the same character qualities as Coach Levy. And getting guys to perform. I mean, he proved that this past year. You come in and you have a team that's, I won't say ragtag, but, team that had struggled for the last couple of few years or whatever, in the last few years, and get them to come together and make the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. So he definitely has that it factor when it comes to coaching, because you're dealing with they're dealing with a new coach coming in, guys that have been there for many years, have had 2 or 3 head coaches, and I'm sure some of them in the back of their minds like, oh, here we go again, a new coach, new coach here, new coach there, kind of thing, whatever. But he was able to come in a very short period of time and get those guys to buy into the system, and that's what it's about. That's what a good head coach does. He manages what he has. He manages the guys, and the guys buy into it. And it's just like in any corporate situation. You got a great CEO. Pretty much you're constantly, and you got great people under you, advisors or what have up under you. Then the regular employees, they're gonna perform well, and that's what it's about, managing the people that you have working for you, and he did a tremendous job. I knew last April when we met with him that it was going to be a big change happening. I just sitting and I had a chance to sit to his left, so I was next to him, and I had a chance to talk to him probably more than any other guy sitting at the table, and just every time a question, I asked a question, I could see the sincerity in him and desire to want to be good and want to change the culture, because he understood the history of Buffalo Bills from how we built the team up and how we built the town up as far as the fans. And he was itching to be a part of that, rebuilding process. And I thought this draft was a tremendous draft for him. And, I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens for him.
Now, speaking of the draft,
mm-hmm.
the Bills, like you played with Jim Kelly, and now we select Josh Allen, who's supposed to be our franchise quarterback going forward. But we also get a linebacker that's often compared to you. And you're the Tremaine Edmonds.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of those two players?
Well, the quarterback I really couldn't tell you much about, but the Edmonds, I played against his father, Farrell. Great tight end in our era, big guy, very athletic, and I've watched some of his kids play a couple of years, not this year, not this past year, but 2 years ago I had a chance to watch his sons play, and I was like, wow, these kids, they really have it, and I forgot that they were draft eligible this year, and man, what a great move. So the lineage is there. I'm sure he's been groomed well to know how to act act like a pro. But the playing on Sundays is a different part. A lot of guys can't transition from college to pro football, but I think this kid is gonna be special now. Putting a tag on him already. I don't. I'm not big into that, and whether it be me or anybody else comparing them to, I want him, to be good for the sake of the team. I think, and that'll be his answer. He want to be good for the sake of the team and not being compared to anybody. He want to make his own mark. But I'm excited to see. You need impact players on defense. You need impact players, and if he's an impact player, I think it makes the offense works so much better when they know they have the confidence in their defense. If they do make a mistake, that the defense can go back out there and make things happen and get the ball back to the offense. So if he's an impact player, then then I'm looking for the team to be a good team, because secondary wise, it's I think one of the top 3 or 4 secondaries in the league already, and now you add some impact players up front, man. It's gonna be exciting to watch. I'm excited for the team. I'm excited for the city.
Good.
We're excited here too. Absolutely, we're excited. Excuse me. If he turns out to be anything, you know what I mean, like
right.
yourself or like Daryl, it's like, man, that's nothing but a blessing to us. And he's got champion pedigree, just like the Bennett family.
Definitely.
He's got the DNA and the bloodlines.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's gonna, seeing him in that number 40s jersey at linebacker though. That's probably like people seeing me in '97, so I don't know, but But again, that's a way to stick out, stick out like a sore thumb, but being able to produce, not just because you got an awkward football number on, but being able to stick out, from your, that just gives them a something else to have people to take notice of, Look at who's this guy number,
I'm 40, so I'm with you. It took me long, like the receivers wearing single digits and just the number change. It took me a while. I didn't like it at first.
Yeah, but that's the individual part. That's a little bit of individuality part of the game. That's getting away. The NFL, it's got so many rules and regulations or whatever. So that little part of the individuality part of it, that's okay. That's cool. But what you do in the number, that's what you do. It's what you do. Yeah, that makes the number popular or make it stand out or whatever. So I'm sure he'll be fine. Exactly. I'm sure he'll be fine. Yeah, he's they wouldn't have selected him that high if they didn't think he was the guy for the job.
Well, Biscuit, we don't want to take too much more of your time, man. We thank you for joining us today, man. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for having me on, man. It's always good to talk to people back up in Buffalo, and I'm always looking forward to coming back and seeing what transpired there, man. I'm excited for the upcoming season, so I hope you guys are as well.
Man, it was a pleasure to have you here. I just want to say, as a Bills fan, watching you do your thing over your career, you created a lot of great football memories for me personally. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for that. And hopefully in the future, maybe mid-season, we can touch base with you and recap what's going on so far.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you, Cornelius.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Bills legend, great Cornelius Bennett. We definitely thank him for taking the time to join us. And Monster, any recap on what he said, man?
Man, just from his mouth to your ears, man, that's the biscuit. Yeah, you know what I mean? He dropped knowledge. Stuff, you know what I mean? A lot of personal stuff, a lot of things, you know what I mean? The answers were genuine, man. It just a great interview, man. Good cat. You know what I mean? Has his head on his shoulders. I like what he said about his kids and everything. And, it's just I like to hear that, man. It was great talking to him.
Yeah, it was great, man. Jeffrey dropped some bombs on, especially about the coaching, because like I said, I know there's always those players that we watch growing up. We're like, man, why isn't this player coaching? Why isn't this player coaching? And I think that provided the perspective that we needed from someone that's inside the trenches.
Explains it. He gives a perspective that none of us have. He knows.
Right.
So
man.
it was nice to kind of get him in there and, you know what I mean, get him to drop what he dropped, man. It was a good talk, man. I really enjoyed it.
Definitely. Hey, man, but like I said, we're going to ready to get off this thing, man. We thank y'all for joining us. Like I said, I'm JTM.
I'm the Monster.
And this was the 5 o'clock Throwdown. We're going to be bringing it to you every single week. So tune in.
And we'll see you there. I'll see you guys in an hour and a half for the Get Up. Man,
Get
I'm
up.
down here all day. I got to go write a show still. And I'm running out of time. Just busy. But I'm doing it for you guys, bringing you great content. Much love. Thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in. Thank you, Cornelius Bennett. Of course, thank JTM. He's a class act. Love the guy.
That's it. All right, Monster. I will catch you same time, same place next week. Let's do it. We out.
I'll be here.